Hello people, and welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time on the channel, a special welcome to you. I ask that you check out the rest of my videos. If you like what you see, give them a thumbs up, leave a comment, but more than anything, I'm asking that you subscribe to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the recent list of countries that Donald Trump produced that are considered the world's biggest producers and are ports for illicit drugs. My initial reaction after I heard this about a week ago was pretty much, yeah, that was it. I actually kissed my teeth because this is not actually the first time Jamaica has been put on such list. But I'll get into that in a minute. Let me first tackle how I feel about this particular list. I mean, as a journalist, as a public speaker, as someone who often do videos and vlogs, I am an obvious critic. So a part of my job is to sift out any news to see if the news is actually genuine, if it holds water, or if there's actually holes in the story. So after analyzing this list, the first thing I noticed is that all the countries that were named on this list are pretty much countries that need the United States of America for one thing or another. I'm not actually challenging the other countries. You know, my channel is about Jamaica, so I'm gonna actually put Jamaica in a box here and defend Jamaica as best as I can. So Jamaica was listed among the Dominican Republic, among Belize, Haiti, and Bahamas. Firstly, let me just say, America is one of those countries that prides itself on its intelligence that it receives, whether it's inland in America or outside of America. And as small as Jamaica is, whether we want to face it or not, America has a whole lot of its sources on the ground in Jamaica. And if the United States of America has its sources on the ground in Jamaica, accurate information can actually be attained on whether or not Jamaica is one of the mass producers or one of the ports that's aiding the mass producers in drugs. So if it's in fact true, information can be relayed to the United States of America, and if the information is not true, obviously there has to be some ulterior motive as to why the United States of America would put Jamaica on such list. After all, I thought that the Prime Minister of Jamaica, Andrew Holness, and Donald Trump was somewhat cool. I recently was listening to some Jamaican news and I heard an individual in Jamaica reference to the United States of America as Jamaica's ally. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that Jamaica and the United States considered themselves as allies. Allies are supposed to be friends, you know, and I understand that politics is business and business is business. But, I mean, if Donald Trump is going to put Andrew Holness' country out there like that on such a vile list, I mean, if we are actually friends, I mean, Donald Trump could at least tone it down a little. Jamaica being on a list of the world, I'm talking about global, so the 190 plus countries that's in the world, Jamaica is one of the leading producers and or of illicit drugs. On my thumbnail, if you notice, I pretty much put the word again, but I say again as in a question. And the reason why the word again is there is simply this. In 2003, the United Kingdom under Tony Blair administration restricted Jamaicans from entering the UK without the possession of a visa. And the reason why that was actually applied was because Jamaica was suspect of trafficking drugs in a large quantity to the United Kingdom. I actually tackled that subject about a year ago when I first started the political arguments on YouTube. So maybe you guys could check out that video. Pretty much what I was saying in that video is this. The world, including the UK, know for a fact from its intelligence that Jamaica does not produce cocaine. Jamaica is guilty as charged when it comes to marijuana, and that's pretty much it when it comes to illicit drugs, if marijuana is considered an illicit drug. Cocaine, opium, that's something totally different. I mean, I kiss my teeth on Jamaica being on that list out of frustration, out of resentment of that being a fact, because if you watch Netflix, even Netflix have a documentary at the moment that shows you how opium is actually reaching the United States of America. And if producers and directors of a Netflix documentary can gather those facts, come on, you know that Donald Trump's administration and his intelligence can gather those facts as well. I'm not saying Jamaica may not be in the line of fire. I mean, Jamaica, where it's placed in the world, it's in the Caribbean, and not to badmouth the South Americans, but the South Americans are guilty as charged when it comes to anything to do with cocaine or opium. And the Netflix documentary that I'm telling you about reflects that. It shows you how the drugs are manufactured from scratch, and it shows you how the drugs get its way into the United States of America. Let me just blast back to about 2001, 2002, when I believe some fishermen in Jamaica found some drugs that, I don't know. What I'm about to say is not factual and it's not been proven. I just assumed that somebody from South America was carrying their cargo to the United States when they actually have to abandon their cargo. And after they abandon the cargo, you know how it is with the Caribbean Sea and the waves, those drugs just happen to washed up on one shore or another. I don't know if it was only Jamaica, but I believe that drugs were alleged to have been found on the shores of Haiti and on the shores of Jamaica. And apparently Jamaicans had no use for cocaine because, unlike the United States of America, nobody actually, I can't say nobody, but cocaine using is not a prominent thing in Jamaica. So for the finders, that would not be a profitable business in Jamaica. And my assumption is that Jamaica's weighing up the English pound versus the US dollar and the visa-free access at the time, they targeted the United Kingdom. My argument to that situation was, if in fact my speculation is so or even near so, the UK, like all Jamaicans, know that Jamaica does not produce cocaine, and Jamaica's findings will eventually come to an end. I mean, there were hundreds and thousands of airport busts in the UK, and the little, if any, that got by, eventually the river was gonna run dry. So to have enforced a visa requirement on Jamaicans was kind of cold, was kind of harsh, and in my opinion, illegal. The intellects of Jamaica sat by and watched the United Kingdom put shackles back on the hands and feet of Jamaica, even though it was supposed to be a colony. At the end of the day, I even said, if a visa was going to be required from Jamaicans entering the United Kingdom, it's cool. Laws can change at any time. The world don't have to stay the same at all times, but the fact that Jamaicans now require a visa to enter the United Kingdom, let me question the presence of the Governor General in Jamaica, because the Governor General is a representation of the Queen, and I don't see the relevance of the Governor General if in fact the UK has said, Jamaica, you're now on your own and I've got nothing to do with you. Usually if you have a visa requirement, you're actually considered a foreign land. And usually if you don't have a visa requirement, you and that country have some commonality. So considering that I covered that subject about a year or two ago, when I heard this recent list, of Jamaica being among the world's biggest producers and are hub of illicit drugs, I was not really interested in the news for the simple fact that Jamaica has been branded a country with a negative reputation for quite some time now, and my only question was, how come Andrew Holness didn't come out and even request some proof, some evidence? If that's the intelligence that the United States has received, that's the intelligence they've received. But I would appreciate it if the Prime Minister of Jamaica had even challenged the United States, even questioned them by saying, let me see where your source got the information. The only consolation that Donald Trump threw back to Jamaica in regards of this allegation was that when these things are even factual, it is pretty much no blame on the reigning government or their fight against drugs. I just thought that was rubbish. If you're gonna blame a country, if you're gonna accuse a country of being one of the world's greatest or biggest drug producers, you have to blame the head of the country. You have to blame the government. You can't say, well, the governments are doing its best, but it's actually the people that are actually the producers and the hub. We're all Jamaican and we're all Jamaica. So when you're giving Jamaica praise, the government and the people take that praise. And when you're giving Jamaica shame or disgrace, you have to shame and disgrace all of us. You can't exempt the government from the people. There's just one Jamaica. So I thought that was Donald Trump's way of saying, well, Andrew, I'm not talking about you. We cool. But at the same time, your people, they're involved in these illicit activities. Now, to my knowledge, on a serious note, to my knowledge, Jamaica grows marijuana naturally and unnaturally. What I mean is pretty much if there's no marijuana farmers, I'm sure in the land of Jamaica, marijuana will just pop up on its own. In regards to cocaine, opium, to my knowledge, Jamaica's never manufactured any such substance. It's never been a part of the Jamaican culture. However, it's been known to be a substance that naturally grow itself in South America. So South America, Colombia, Argentina, and those countries are known for cocaine and poppy leaves and so on and so forth. America, of all these countries that I'm naming, or all these regions that I'm naming, the United States of America has the biggest craving for this drug and its use. I recently watched Dave Chappelle stand up on Netflix, and he was actually talking about opium versus cocaine versus a drug that's on the rise now called fentanyl, I believe. This drug seemed to have targeted most Caucasian American versus crack cocaine in the late 80s and 1990s in America, which mostly target African Americans. It's a shame, despite which race a drug target or which race seem to be relying on controlled substance more than another. When it comes to these things, I don't see race, I don't see color, I just see people. And I understand that it's big business and somebody is making a ton of money off it. And if Jamaica is indeed a hub, I can only implore to the Prime Minister and the Minister of Security to do more to combat that kind of activity in Jamaica. However, I strongly don't feel like Jamaica should be listed among the title of producers. It's a small country and it's a big world. And what I'm saying, to the levels that the United States of America is talking about, it's almost impossible for Jamaica to produce that quantity without the eyes of the government being aware. That's pretty much my defense in Jamaica. So let me clear that up. I'm not saying Jamaica is innocent of being a hub, and I'm not saying it's guilty because I have no proof. But logically speaking, I would say Jamaica is not one of the world's biggest producers in illicit drugs, because Jamaica is a small country, and in order to manufacture the amount that could qualify as a country as one of the world's biggest, Jamaica just doesn't have the space to facilitate it without the eyes of the government knowing. That's pretty much my argument there. People, let me know if you agree with my view. You know, on this channel, I accept agreement, I accept disagreement, I accept thumbs up, and I accept thumbs down, because at the end of the day, like I always say on this channel, each one teach one. Until next time, people, peace.